Hello, American. We want to, Laz and I are here today to explain to you the corruption that's been coming in America.
So, go ahead, yeah.
Hello, America. We want to welcome all of you here that has come to understand about what the corruption is in America. Laz and I are here to inform you of the things that have been happening, starting with our politicians. We have seen this terrible corruption that's been happening, and it starts all the way from the top, from Barack Obama and Valerie Jarrett to Joe Biden, George W. Bush, Harry Reid, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Jeff Merkley, Ron Wyden, Greg Walden, Ted Ferrioli, Nell Corntz, head of the BLM, Loretta Lynch, James Comey, head of the FBI, John McCain, and Bruce Babbitt. There's other ones, but we haven't got them all listed just today. Remember that the presidents, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama, number one, have appointed judges, namely Ann Aiken, Anna Brown, who are both from the Lewis and Clark College in Oregon. We're talking about Oregon today. They also appointed, Governor Kate Brown was appointed by Barack Obama, and her husband, Mr. Kolonsky, of 30 years in forestry. Her DA is, her district attorney is Ellen Rosenblum, and the assistant DA was Amanda Marshall, that were both sent after the Hammond family, the Dwight Hammond family, to get their ranch in Harney County, Oregon, and the Steens Mountains. And we're going to tell you why.
Let's see here. Good afternoon, everyone out there. To all our political prisoners, to the Hammond family, to the Bundy family, to the Finnegan family, Shawna Cox, Daryl Thorne, all our patriots that were involved in regards to preventing the defective government from stealing the Hammond's ranch. Obviously, as I stated, certain people are helping me work with this PowerPoint, but in that PowerPoint, I'm going to call it the Beltway, Washington, D.C. But it's like chess, and we were talking about that you need to have your king, your queen, your knight, your bishops. So we're going to play chess with these documents. And that PowerPoint presentation, we're going to start with the Beltway, which is still, because so much information, the PowerPoint is not done yet, but it's coming together. One of the things is why Shawna Cox is here is for the fact that she's seen the documents and has read the documents, which we are going to present in chronological order by dates on how these criminals, like Steven E. Grassley that she mentioned, Ron Wyden, Jeff Merkley, Greg Walden, who else? Cliff Bentz, have on the background working with the Beltway, Washington, D.C. and Wall Street to steal the minerals, the land, the water, and the lumber. So I'm going to proceed in chronological order by dates and how we got these documents and how these documents all come together. But there are going to be three main focal points that I want to bring up with respect to the documents. This one's going to be the first one. Would you like to have the privilege of reading the title?
This is the Oregon Energy Facility Sitting Council meetings, the minutes on June 11th in 2010. And this was written by Brian Wolf, who's the council member.
Right, Brian Wolf, Sheriff Brian Wolf, that everybody knows. He was part of this council meeting with Steven E. Grassley, Stacy L. Davies, Fred Oatley, Chad Cargis. Chad Cargis is
head of the Fish and Wildlife at the refuge. At the refuge,
that testified on behalf of the defective government where he committed perjury. Peter Nichols. Also in this
county commissioner.
Also in this document name, and which you guys can see, hopefully you can see, but there's so many documents. So we got on this document we have Senator
Gordon Smith and Ron Wyden, and U.S. Representative Greg Walden. The council also received a letter from the state senator Ted Ferrioli.
So this back the Oregon Energy Facility City Council minutes, June 11, 2012, is basically 2010 is the focal point of where we are today. Because if you go back to the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife Field report, dated January 11 of 2013, this document right here gave. And so Shawna Cox can validate this document. You want to read the
Calico Resources for a project to develop a gold extraction and processing mine in Malheur County, about 25 miles southwest of Vail, Oregon. The proposed Grassy Mountain Gold Project includes patented and unpatented lode mining claims, as well as private land currently under lease for mineral exploration and development. Calico is considering constructing an underground mine and surface mill complex to develop the Grassy Mountain gold resource.
Which is explained by Stephen E. Grassi, was part of the Grassy Mountain Committee, and also the Steens Mountain Advisory Council. He was on both meetings. Now, why is this so important? Because Oregon Energy LLC, which was name changed to Uranium One, ties it to Steens Mountain. Everything on Steens Mountain consists of uranium, and we're going to read it and we're going to show you the evidence.
Yes. Remember that these same politicians invest in the politicians' corporations, such as the Clinton Foundation, the Uranium One, Calico Resources, and Barrick Gold Inc., which also merged with the Calico Resources, and one of its founders and supporters is George Soros, Behringer Inc., Nevada Mining Inc., Bent Solutions LLC. That's the representative Cliff and his brother Andy Bentz. Those are just some of these entities that they are investing in.
Which is why this document is so important. It's called the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife Field Report, January 11, 2013. And this is in regards to Oregon Energy LLC, which is Uranium One.
Regarding a proposal to construct the Aora uranium mine in southern Malheur County near the Nevada state line. The proposed open pit chemical processing mine would be entirely on land administered by the Bureau of Land Management, the BLM, in sage grouse core area habitat and adjacent to McDermott Creek, where federal ESA listed threatened Lahontan cutthroat trout are present. No formal activities by the ODFW personnel have been undertaken because the project proponents have not filed intent to proceed with the Dagami State Department of Energy, BLM, or the Nuclear Regulatory Commission.
So right here is proof that Uranium One, Oregon Energy LLC, through the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, can go ahead and extract minerals. But these minerals, under the Steens Mountain Act, the whole Steens Mountain Act under Public Law 06399, in which we posted all the hyperlinks. All these documents are there hyperlinked, for the exception of this one, which was the Oregon Energy Facility Siting Council minute, June 11, 2010. Somebody went ahead and removed this document. This document ties every state representative, every congressman, every senator, and city officials in this Harney County and Ontario and Malheur County. So again, Oregon Energy Facility Siting Council minute, June 11, 2010, including Sheriff Brian Wolf. Remember, Oahe Monument, Sheriff Brian Wolf with Andy and Cliff Bentz. Now, this is a prime example of why they want your minerals and why they created corporations. So we go back here in fall of 2001. These same criminals here that hopefully Shawna Cox will be able to mention are also under the public laws that testified in front of Congress in Public Law 106-399. And it's all about Steens Mountain. The entire Steens Mountain consists of uranium, copper, gold, silver, and mercury, right? Which is correct. You want to read the names?
Okay. This has Senators Gordon Smith, the Republican of Oregon, Ron Wyden, the Democrat of Oregon, and U.S. Representative Greg Walden, Republican of Oregon. Oregon Parks and Recreation Director Mike Carrier, Burns Paiute Tribal Council Chairman Albert Tiemann, Jill Workman of the Oregon Chapter Sierra Club, Harney County Judge Steve Grasty, Roaring Springs Ranch Manager Stacy Davies, and Acting BLM Director Nina Hatfield also addressed this group.
Which is why this, going back to the Oregon Energy Facility Siting Councilman, is so important, because this document, when you read this document, it'll say, Public Law 106399, and guess who signed, Public Law Bill 106399. Do you want to tell the American people who signed this bill?
This was signed by Bill Clinton.
It was signed by Bill Clinton. And who's behind Uranium One?
Bill and Hillary Clinton.
And who's behind the Clinton Foundation?
Bill and Hillary Clinton.
And is this on Steens Mountain?
Absolutely.
And to prove to the American people that the Hammonds have minerals on their land, which Stephen E. Grasty participated in. He participated. It's called the Harney County Comprehensive Plan and Zoning Designation. This is a document which is also there for anyone that wants to read. It's a hyperlink. It's called the Harney County Comprehensive Plan and Zoning Designation. And if you go into that hyperlink, you'll see the Hammonds land mentioned, and it talks about core areas. Do you want to read that part? Or would you?
Okay. There are a total of 16 surface mines within core area and low density habitat on non-federal lands. 13 are closed and 13 active or permitted. 0.29 Dagami GIS, Oregon Department of Geology and Mineral Industries, reports that 387.1 acres of land are disturbed by surface mines in Harney County, and of those sites, 3.4 acres are disturbed within core area and 12.8 acres are disturbed in low density habitat. 3.30 Harney County has not permitted a surface mine within core area or low density habitat from 2003 to 2013. Table 3 lists the 3 surface mines within the ODFW sage grouse habitat that are active or permitted. This figure below shows the locations of these mines throughout the entire county and also shows an example how the bulk of the mines are located close to the 2 incorporated towns of Burns and Hines. And then you can go and look at this chart that tells you
who's the name of the ranch?
Whose ranch this is, and it says the Hammonds Ranch.
The Hammonds Ranch is in this document. I posted the hyperlink for you guys to read. It's called the Harney County Comprehensive Plan and Zoning Designation, and it's in page 59. So you can go to read from page 53 to page 69 on that, and it provides a map. All maps are provided here, as you can see. Hopefully you guys are able to see, but these maps are provided in Dugami, which is Dugami did an amazing thing, and it's called under zoning. County-based zoning district, Dugami, surface mining permits locations. Well, when you say permit locations, the general view is so broad that you start, well, what locations, where? Well, according to them, because, did you write this?
No.
Did you fabricate this?
No.
Did you alter this?
No.
Well, according to them, the Hammonds Ranch is in there. And who was part of this committee? Stephen E. Grasty.
Do you know who Stephen E. Grasty is? He is the county commissioner out of Harney County, out of Burns, Oregon. The one that would put all the pressure on the Hammond family, not the one, but one of them, and also to take away the land of all the ranchers out in Harney County. That the people that went to the protest of the Bundys group went out to protest this because they understood about the minerals that were being taken and stolen from the grazing lands that were being stolen from the ranchers out there for the purpose of these politicians who were gathering up all the minerals and pocketing them, putting it in their own pockets.
Now everybody says, how do we know well, everybody says, you know, uranium. There's no uranium in Steens Mountain or in Harney County. But if there's no uranium in Steens and Harney County, then why do they put it in these documents? It's well documented. The de facto government has done an amazing job in documenting everything. Isn't that what you told me? They document, and put all the minerals and locations and maps. Actually, they made page 181 to 204 disappear with respect to Harney County. But there's a contradiction, because now with these few pages that disappeared, well, Stephen E. Grassley was also involved in plotting all the minerals. And uranium, mercury, lead, copper, and zinc, in which Stephen E. Grassley was participating in the Harney County Comprehensive Plan, which is another plan. There's about 3 different plans and several different committees in which Stephen E. Grassley is part of. One is the Steens Mountain Advisory Council, one is the Watershed, one is the other one, the Harney County Comprehensive Planning. When you talk about comprehensive planning, planning what? What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about, you want to let them know what we're talking about?
The minerals and aggregate resources. Harney County is physically divided basically between 2 geomorphic areas known as the high lava plains in the northern portion of the county and basin and range area in the southern portion, with a small portion of the northeastern county in the Oahe upland and a small portion on the North County in the Blue Mountains.
Yeah. In addition, Steens Mountain, which I just learned within these past 2 weeks, that Steens Mountain goes all the way up to Nevada.
Goes down into Nevada into Winnemucca.
And in Winnemucca, they have been plotting this since 1965. Since 1965, they knew about the minerals in...
And the uranium.
And the uranium.
And the gold.
And the silver
copper.
and the mercury.
Right.
In Winnemucca?
In Winnemucca.
Nevada. And today, they're actually mining. But here, it says in this document in which Stephen E. Grassley participated in the Harney County Comprehensive Plan, 2 documents right here. You want to read each one?
We have coppers, lead and zinc, mercury,
and
pumice,
zeolite, which is zinc,
and geothermal energy.
In addition
to uranium.
But didn't they say that there was no uranium? And by the way, uranium is radioactive. You want to read that last paragraph right there?
Uranium has the property of radioactivity, namely the spontaneous emission of radiation energy.
Right there. Did you write this?
Nope.
Did you fabricate this? No. Did you alter this?
No.
They wrote that. Stephen E. Grassley participated in this. So we're going to continue. Why is this so vital? Because under this, the mineral resource of High Bends and Little Blitz, Georgia Wilderness Study Area, in this area, they went ahead and they made a couple of things. And one of the most amazing things that we found in this document, you want to read that, just that highlighted portion? The
High Steens, and the Little Blitzen Gorge Wilderness Study areas are located along the east central Steens Mountain in Harney County, southeastern Oregon. At the request of the U.S. Bureau of Land Management, a total of 35,930 acres of the High Steens and 6,430 acres of the Little Blitzen Gorge Wilderness Study areas were studied. In this report, this is now called the study area. Fieldwork for this report was conducted between 1983 and 1985. About 500 claims and prospects have been located within and adjacent to the High Steens Wilderness Study area, 52 of which are still active.
Want to read that too?
The potential for uranium resources is high in 2 areas along with the southeast edge of the High Steens Wilderness Study area. Potential for mercury resources is also high in one of these areas, and the potential for gold resources is moderate in both areas. The potential for gold, mercury, and uranium resources in adjacent areas along the southeast and central east edges of the High Steens Wilderness Study area is moderate.
This right here, Steens, all Steens Mountain has minerals. Every part of Steens Mountain, which is why under Public Law 106399, Bill Clinton signed that bill under the Steens Mountain Act. And guess who was behind it? Ron Wyden, Greg Bolden, Gordon Smith, Ted Ferrioli, and Stephen E. Grassi. Stephen E. Grassi has been so involved that he went to Congress, in front of Congress, and spoke. Here it is. This whole bill right here, this big fat bill right here that you see right here, you want to inform?
This is the Steens Mountain Cooperative Management and Protection Act. It's the oversight hearing of the Committee on Resources of U.S. House of Representatives, June the 8th, 2002.
Serial number 107-125. Why this is so important? Because we're going to tell you who testified in front of Congress.
The Committee of Resources. There's a number of names here, a lot of them, but we also include Greg Walden out of Oregon and Peter A. DeFazio from Oregon.
Who else? Right here.
Sorry. The hearing was held on June the 8th, 2002. The statements were from members of DeFazio, Peter A., a representative in Congress from the state of Oregon, Gordon Smith, a United States Senator from the state of Oregon,
Greg Walden,
a representative in Congress from the state of Oregon, Stacy Davies, Roaring Springs Ranch grazing permit holder in Steens Mountain Advisory Council out of French Glen, Oregon, Fred Otley, Vice President and Resource Manager, Otley Brothers Incorporated, grazing permittee, Diamond, Oregon. Prepared the statement of Jerry J. Sutherland, Oregon Chapter Sierra Club, Portland, Oregon.
All these people part of the Steens Mountain Act. And Pete Reynolds, let's not forget Pete Reynolds, the commissioner from Oregon. All these guys testified in front of Congress in the Steens Mountain Cooperative Management and Protective Act back in June 8, 2002. They knew they were going to steal the land from the Hammonds. Serial number 107124. And this is all public law by Congress, the hearing. There is a hyperlink for every American. Matter of fact, they even went to another congressional hearing, in which this congressional hearing is what?
The public law number 10.
Actually, I got the wrong one.
Remember that these politicians encourage and create environmental groups like the Kieran Suckling, the Center for Biodiversity with Les Zates, a reporter for the Oregonian media. Judge Ann Aiken's husband, Mr. Klonsky, and two sons, Zach and Jack Klonsky, were also protesters, and they head up and support the Friends of the Malheur. They were out there protesting the protesters when they were at the refuge, and they were raising money while they were protesting.
So in essence, they knew what was going on because they're all directed from the Clinton Foundation. This all ties back to the Clinton Foundation, Uranium One, and to Russia. They knew back in 1965 how much uranium was in Steens Mountain with mercury, with zinc, with lead, with copper, with silver, and gold. Matter of fact, this is why these criminals attended these two congressional public hearings. Here are two congressional public law hearings in which they're hyperlinks and already create a PDF file. You have a PDF file of these documents, correct?
Correct.
All these documents will go to Shawna Cox after this is over. Why the principle behind this is because this public law, which is the Steens Mountain Cooperative Management and Protection Act, June 8, 2002, serial number 107214, goes in conjunction with this bill. This bill is House Hearing 107-756.
That's Senate.
756, Steens Mountain Act. And the Steens Mountain Act, conjunction with Public Law 106399, by Bill Clinton, May 29 of 2002. So you have the first one, you have the one, and this one, the first one, on May 29 of 2002, and you have the second one, dated June 8 of 2002. Do you see the correlation? So now, do you want to read the names on this, in this one?
This one has Ron Wyden of Oregon, Gordon Smith of Oregon. Subcommittees on the Public Lands and Forests were Ron Wyden, Oregon Chairman, with Gordon Smith as one of the members. There's about 14 members on this committee.
Ted Ferrioli.
These statements that were made by, we're just bringing in some of the ones from Oregon. Richard Brown out of Los Suegos, Oregon. He's a defender of the wildlife. Ted Ferriola, state senator, Salem, Oregon. Steve Grasty, county judge from Harney County, Oregon. You have to remember that he's not really a judge. He's a representative. He's a county. He's a commissioner.
And a budget administrator.
And a budget administrator. And so that's kind of a deception to be called a judge. But he has many ties in here. Also, Fred Otley, he's a rancher out of Diamond, Oregon. Bill Tovey is the Confederate Tribes of the Umatilla Indians. And also Honorable Ron Wyden, the U.S. Senator from Oregon.
Do you see how they participated in both Senate hearings? There's actually other hearings besides this one, and there's another bill, right? The same bill. This is which all these criminals in which we mentioned go back to the Clinton Foundation. All tied because of Bill Clinton being part of Public Law 106399.
Remember, it's these politicians that are creating legislation. They're creating such things as the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Endangered Species Act, the Wilderness Act, and making the wilderness areas, creating monuments using public lands like the 106399 in the Steens Mountain National Monument, and they're creating all these monuments across the western states to lock up all the land and all the resources.
And if you guys go, matter of fact, it's called, and I put a hyperlink, and if you guys can't open that hyperlink, it's already downloaded in a PDF file where we can email it, send it through Facebook, through Twitter. We will create a new hyperlink for any of these documents that disappear in which I posted. It's already downloaded, it's in already circulation. This is basically, these are the knights right here. The Beltway is where we call the king and the queen and the knights. We're going to do that PowerPoint presentation where we bring everything with Steens Mountain connecting to Uranium One and Russia. And then all these corrupt politicians behind Uranium One and the Clinton Foundation. But it's called the Carving Up of Commons, Congress, and our public lands. Let me read it again. Carving up the Commons, Congress, and our public lands. Why is this so why is this extremely so important? Because this document brings in
Harry Reid,
Nevada, and on top of not just Harry Reid, but we're gonna go into the Steens Mountain Act, which brings Bruce Babbitt working with Bill Clinton, and we must recall. Bruce, prior to the assassination of Lavoie, there was a meeting in Harney County in which Bruce Babbitt participated. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my understanding.
Bruce Babbitt was there in Harney County talking to ranchers. Now, it's called, you want to read this whole thing?
Right here.
Yep, all the way down.
Steens Mountain Cooperative Management and Protection Act of 2000, PL 106-399, in the late 1990s, a Clinton administration proposal to create a national monument of Southeast Oregon Steens Mountain provoked loud protest among anti-monument interests, mainly ranchers who were running livestock on the BLM lands on the mountain. The administration was already under fire for its designation of the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument in southwest Utah, which has sparked a huge furor in that state and has inspired an anti-monument movement among politicians and action in the courts. That
basically with the courts. Well, who's in the courts? We have Anna Akins, Anna J. Brown, we have Sally Amanda Marshall, Stacey Bakerman, Ron Wyden, Gordon Smith, Greg Wolden, Earl Blumenauer, Kate Brown, the DA Ellen what?
Ellen Bloomberg.
Bloomberg, all part of the Lewis and Clark Law School running the courts in Oregon, in which under the Oregon Legislative Investment Council create the hedge funds in which they profit under the Oregon Legislative Investment Council every time they rule in favor of the government under Title V U.S. Code. And this is a prime example of why Bill Clinton needed to appoint these corrupt judges and these corrupt DA, prosecutors, and attorneys and judges, is to cover up the crimes in which they're committing against the ranchers and the Native Americans, the Paiute, the Burns Paiute tribe. Also, names are on these documents. Not just the ranchers, but the Paiutes and the communities around these, these monuments that will be and going to be affected. So if you are a rancher, this is to you. Let's read the next page. This is why Bruce Babbitt is so adamant in creating national monuments. But the hypocrisy is so big because Bruce Babbitt, but near Staff Flag, Arizona, his ranch is protected by 2 national monuments, which that consider private property on public land. And don't take my word for it. You can go ahead and look at my previous live streaming videos on Bruce Babbitt, in which I expose his property and the 2 monuments in which his property is on.
It says Babbitt advised the Oregon delegation, conservationists, and other interested parties to come up with their own alternative for protecting Steens Mountain, called the Steens in local parlance, as High Country News described it at that time. Babbitt has promised that the Clinton administration will not make the Steens an instant national monument as it did prior to the 1996 election with the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument in southern Utah. I'm not going to pull off some kind of surprise while everyone is eating their Christmas turkey, he says. Instead, he gave a local agency advisory committee 2 months to craft a legislative plan for a national conservation area at Steens Mountain. If they don't reach an agreement, Babbitt hinted, Clinton will create a Steens National Monument in election year 2000. Isn't that what we just saw in Nevada? If we don't bow down to Harry Reid, then we will turn it into a monument. It's terrible. He also goes on to say, some ranchers with Steens in holdings who graze their cattle on adjacent public lands were brought out with huge land trades that netted them more than 5 times the amount of land the public gained.
So we understand why Bruce Babbitt was so adamant in participating in the committee in Harney County. This is a prime example of why Bruce Babbitt cannot be trusted. The ranchers cannot trust Bruce Babbitt, and he's all in it for himself with respect to the minerals, all tied to Uranium One, Calico Resource, Barrick Gold Inc. We have to understand that Barrick Gold Inc. merged with Calico Resource after the assassination of Lavoie through Harry Reid and George Soros, and political figures like Ron Wyden, Jeff Merkley, and Greg Walden. So, matter of fact, isn't one of Greg Walden's friends the ones that represented, or so-called represented, the Hammonds?
Yes, that was their attorneys.
And if the attorneys are tied to the Greg Walden, what do you think is going to happen in that de facto courtroom with Anna Akins and Sally Amanda Marshall and Stacey Beckerman? Do you honestly think they have a fair judicial process and being vindicated? The other thing is, why didn't any of the attorneys brought any of these documents up? Why didn't any of the attorneys ever read all the public laws on fires, in which you can prevent fires under 3 conditions? The destruction of public and private property and the destruction of life is when anybody can start a backfire. Yeah, why wasn't this evidence ever mentioned?
Well, remember, we couldn't have that evidence brought into court. The attorneys sat on that evidence that we were trying to bring to light. They sat on that evidence in the Hammond case, and never brought forth the videos or the proof or the testimony of those people who started the fires and which were actually BLM,
which is the Bureau of Land Management. So why is this so vital? Because and remember, according to them, there's no uranium near the Hammonds property. There's no uranium on Steens Mountain. That's what they say. That's what Ron Wyden, Stephen E. Grassi, and all that. But why every committee that they participate, especially including Stephen E. Grassi, is mentioned uranium? Look at the it's called the United States Geological Survey. Right here.
Government survey. Yeah.
Government survey. Geological Field Trip Guide to Steens Mountain, Loop Road, Harney County, Oregon. And in there, it has all the uranium mentioned in this document. I didn't write this, and I didn't create this. This is created by the United States Geological Survey.
You can find it yourself.
Which is a BLM, which is the Bureau of Land Management, and we posted a hyperlink. So, matter of fact, it even has maps right here. The geological field trip guide to Steens Mountain, Loop Road, Steens Mountain in Harney County, Oregon. All this is there, and all you guys have to do is read.
Remember, the government keeps very good records. And we need to look at them, read them, and see what they're doing, because it's there. We just have to look for it, and we can't sit sleeping while they are creating these things that take away our rights, our freedoms, and our possessions.
And they do it on a constant basis. So if there's no uranium, okay, according to them, there's no uranium. If there's no uranium in Steens Mountain, There's going to be, we're going to bring 2 documents, and then you would ask yourself, why in the world was there a public law with respect to uranium? And these 2 documents are extremely vital. You want to read those?
The Public Law 107-20, July 24th of 2001, is an act. It's a payment to Radiation Exposure Compensation Trust Fund. For payment to the Radiation Exposure Compensation Trust Fund for approved claims for fiscal year 2001, such sums as may be necessary.
We got the Military Personnel Army, $164 million. $164 million because they knew that radiation exposure will cause illnesses. They went ahead.
$84 million for the Navy, $69 million for the Marine Corps, $119,500,000 for the Air Force, $52 million for Army personnel, $8,500,000 for the Air Force Reserve personnel, $6 million for National Guard personnel, Army, and the National Guard personnel Air Force is $12 million.
We're talking about $750 million was set aside in 2001. And remember, all these reports came out near 2001, including Public Law 106-399, which goes back to the Clinton of 2000. All affect with uranium. So if there's no uranium, then why are you including we call it Radioactive Exposure Compensation Trust Fund? Why did they have to create that under Public Law 107-20, July 24, 2001? But there's something crazy about this. In this same Public Law 107-20, they added the Steens Mountain. Steens Mountain was added into Public Law 107-20 on July 24, 2001 with respect to the payment to Radiation Exposure Compensation Trust Fund. If there's no uranium and there's no radioactivity, then why in the world is Congress setting aside $750 million for Army, Navy, Marines,
all of our military,
Air Force, and National Guard personnel, and the National Guard Air personnel? $750 million set aside because of radioactive material. All here, and then it adds in here the Steens Mountain Act. In this Steens Mountain, right there, it says Steens Mountain. I didn't create this. Did you create this document?
No.
Did you fabricate this document?
No.
Did you alter this document?
No, we copied it.
We downloaded it, right? From Congress, because why? They keep all records. Well, it's amazing. If you were to read this, you will ask yourself, why is Steens Mountain in this public law bill? And knowing that's radioactive. Matter of fact, they even finished conducting a study, which goes hand in hand with this Public Law 107-20, July 24, 2001, which is a payment to Radiation Exposure Compensation Trust Fund. Why a trust fund? Guess what?
The Naturally Occurring Hazardous Materials Final Report in the spring as SPR 686.
And who and what county is involved in this?
This is Harney County.
Harney County is part of this report. Right here. This report right here, which is mentioned, it's just a hyperlink. This report mentions Harney County. Naturally Occurring Hazard Materials. Final report, SPR 686. Well, what do we talk about hazard materials? This is in the report. Here you go. Let's go to the uranium page. Right there.
In the environment, uranium is a natural radioactive element. It is found in almost everything. Uranium combines readily with oxygen to form a great number of primary and secondary minerals, namely oxide minerals and compounds. Uranium minerals, there are over 150 known uranium minerals can occur in a variety of deposit types. As listed in Table 3.9, uranium is also commonly found in active and fossil geothermal springs, but gold systems are notoriously low in uranium.
But hold on. I thought they said there's no uranium on Steens Mountain. But then why are the Clintons on Steens Mountain? And why did the Clinton Foundation pass Public Law 106-399 in 2000? Isn't Bill Clinton part of that bill?
He wrote the bill.
And his wife is part of the Clinton Foundation?
Absolutely.
With their names on it?
Absolutely.
And all right, tied to Russia?
Absolutely.
So where are they getting the uranium from? We didn't write this. This is what they wrote.
Uranium mines, prospects, and occurrences in Oregon are widely scattered throughout the state, as shown in this figure. Of the deposit types in Oregon, volcanic types deposits of uranium represent the bulk of the uranium deposit. Uranium was first discovered in Oregon in the 1930s, with Bowen in 1969, Matthews 1955, Matthews again in 1956. On December the 20th of 1958, Oregon experienced its first commercial mining of uranium ore on the White King mine and the adjacent Lucky Lass mine. These two mines are located approximately 1 mile apart in rural Lakeview County, Oregon. The tabular veins and disseminated uranium mineralization at the White King and Lucky Lass share the same host rocks. And so it's not just in Harney County, but it's in adjacent counties.
And adjacent counties, there's a report here from the BLM, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, together. They wrote the Wilderness Net Steens Mountain Wilderness fact sheet. I didn't write this. Did you write it? Nope. Fact sheet. All down, which we made a note. The Steens Mountain Advisory Council meeting minutes, March 16, 2017. Didn't Stephen E. Grassi participate in that? Absolutely. In that meeting with Gordon Smith and Ron Wyden and Greg Bolden and Pete Reynolds and Dan Nichols? They were all part of that. Let me tell you again. The Mountain Advisory Council meeting minute on March 16 and 17 of 2006, and what they said, the Steens Mountain Loop Road. And guess what's added in the Steens Mountain Loop Road, in which they included, and who was the president? Who was signed? What's that?
On October 30th, 2000, the Steens Mountains Cooperative Management and Protection Act of 2000, providing additional protection to approximately 900,000 acres of federal land in southeastern Oregon, and was signed into law. That would be Clinton.
Bill Clinton.
That would be Bill Clinton.
And then we continue.
The Act designates the Steens Mountain Cooperative Management and Protection Area that will be collaboratively managed by the Bureau of Land Management and a new Steens Mountain Advisory Council to conserve, protect, and manage the long-term ecological integrity of the Steens Mountain for future and present generations. And that was intended by Steve Grassi.
Yeah,
very well.
Stephen E. Grassi, part of the Steens Mountain Advisory Council. How fitting. He goes in front of Congress in 2000. He in 2000 speaks about the Steens Mountain, the protection of Steens Mountain, but yet he's on committees where they have uranium, mercury, copper, silver, and gold on Steens Mountain, and the locations, providing geographical locations of all the minerals. And if you go to this, the wilderness.net Steens Mountain Wilderness fact sheet, it says it right here on page 3. And on page 3. And do you want to read this, Shawna? And this is the applicable wilderness laws. So applicable wilderness laws.
Public Law 106-399, October 30th, 2000, 170,085 acres. Steens Mountain Cooperative Management and Protection Act of 2000, Public Law 106-399, 10/30/2000, to designate the Steens Mountain Wilderness Area and the Steens Mountain Cooperative Management and Protection Area in Harney County, Oregon, and for other purposes.
And for what other purposes? The minerals? The minerals? The uranium, the gold, the copper, the silver? What are we talking about? According to them, but wait a second, didn't they say that they want to protect the land? They want to take Steens Mountain? Right. And this is why they send, Les Zaitz and Karen Suckling, the environmentalist program, Protection Act, this team with the Kolosky brothers and tied to Anna Akins. But wait a second, if they're protecting the lands because the environmentalists and the tree huggers and are worried about the endangered species, what are they doing mining?
Exactly.
Why are they plotting all the minerals and all the locations?
To to get the ranchers off so they can take the minerals.
Why do they have Calico Resources and Oregon Energy LLC on the uranium one to extract the minerals? Why do they have that?
And they all stand to gain financially because they're all financially invested.
I doubt that. I think Stephen E. Grassi's doing it for the good intentions of the people. Do you think that?
No.
So this is well documented. This is amazing. These documents will belong to Shawna Cox. These well documents will be part of our slides.
Ongoing investigation to tell the truth to the American people of the corruption that's been going on.
And the PowerPoint that we're doing the PowerPoint with respect to the Beltway. The Beltway is Wall Street and Washington, D.C. with the corrupt politicians, the lobbyists, the judges, and attorneys, all tied to the Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. We're going to bring this. This is why I call it the Beltway. The Beltway of the swamp, the corruption of D.C., drain the swamp. Once we show you all the things with Uranium One, the Clinton Foundation, we're going to bring back Steens Mountain, the Steens Mountain Act, in which Bill Clinton participated. And under those figureheads, remember, Ron Wyden, Jeff Merkley, Greg Walden, Harry Reid, Gordon Smith, Stephen E. Grassi, Dan Nichols, Pete Reynolds, Cliff Pence, because Cliff Pence is behind the sage grouse, in which they said, oh my God, the sage grouse is dying. We got to do an Endangered Species Act, including Kate Brown with Executive Order 1815 or 1518. What happened to that Executive Order on sage grouse, the Endangered Species Act? Well, if they're so endangered, then why are they mining on Steens Mountain?
That's right. Hey, do you know how they enforce these things that they're doing to us? They send out the BLM agents, the rangers, they arm the U.S. Forest Service, and they arm the Fish and Wildlife, and the BLM fire rangers. They flood the people out, they burn them out, and they regulate them out with all of these laws and these executive orders to get them off the land, and the committees. And they use to transport these minerals. They use the military. That's why they have to have all of these.
United States Geological Survey in a public law bill with radiation,
save that, to protect these people who are transporting this stuff.
So if, like I told everybody in my previous videos, to our military, stand down. We are arming our enemies with uranium. Remember Benghazi? Remember Russia? Remember the Clinton Foundation? All tied to uranium, 20% of the uranium that's going overseas? Well, we already know the side effects with uranium because it's radioactive. Shawna and I know, but we're not saying it. Congress did. Congress stated that in this bill, which is the radioactive bill. And matter of fact, here they said it on the naturally occurring hazardous material final report SPR 686. They stated that, which goes in conjunction with this bill. If I hope so. If I am wrong, then why is Congress writing this bill? Why is Congress, if we are wrong, why is Congress writing this thing? What do you think is going to happen to our military? This is why they've created the Payment to Radiation Exposure Compensation Trust Fund. I ask everybody out there that has a serviceman or a family member serving in our military, let them know that there is a public law bill 10720 that talks about the Radiation Exposure Compensation Trust Fund. If they are ill, do they know that there's money set aside for their sickness, especially those military that served in Desert Storm, including with Iran and Iraq, in which they used uranium? The side effects. This bill was not created just for the hell of it. There's a reason why Congress set $750 million for our military. And for those military that are being deprived because of the VA, look at this bill. Go read the damn bill. And then it's time for you to take action and hold these criminal politicians accountable, because they put you in front of, they basically, in harm's way. They murdered you. They knowingly and intentionally tried to murder you. You know why? Because what does radiation does?
It causes cancer. It causes all kinds of terrible things. To your body, to your mind, to your nervous system. And remember, are you going to get the truth on the media? Who owns the media? And when you have public media, people, we're lucky that we have Twitter, and we have Facebook, and we have a live stream, and we have things that we can get the truth out. We can't, they're not going to pick it up. Who owns it? George Soros?
Media Matters.
Media Matters, Leslie Orgonia.
Lazaro, Scott Callister, Lyndon Zaitz. What about that Lars Larson, that idiot that has David Ward and Stephen E. Grassi on his radio show? So much of a conservative. He's no conservative. He's not looking out for the best interests of the ranchers. He's not looking at the best interests of the Native Americans, the Paiutes and Burns. He's not looking for the best interests of the people in the community around the national monuments or national parks.
He furthers their agenda.
Yeah, if he really looks out for those three people, then why are we not talking about these public law bills? Why are we not talking about the radiation that's going to happen to our military when they are near that military? What about the community that lives near that community, that lives around those mining corporations that extract uranium and mercury? What about them? Why don't we talk about that? Where's Lars Larson talking about that? He ain't talking about it. Have you been on Lars Larson's radio show? No. And he's a conservative. He's a joke. And I want everybody to circulate this and let him know that Lazaro Ecenarro, standing next to Shawna Cox, he's a joke. He's no conservative. He's an infiltrator, a chameleon that basically is infiltrating the Republican Party to run his narrative. And that's why he has. And if he's such a Republican, then why is he having Stephen E. Grassi and David Ward on his radio show? Why not Shawna Cox? Why not the Finnegans? Why not the Bundys? Why not Daryl Thorne? Why not Jake Ryan? Why not anybody with regards to this evidence? Why not we talk about the Steens Mountain Act that Bill Clinton passed? What about the sage grouse in which Stephen E. Grassi participated with Cliff Bentz? What about the sage grouse they're so in danger that they allowed Calico Resource and Barrick Gold Inc. to mine on Steens Mountain? Why don't we talk about the Department of Fish and Wildlife and the BLM allowing the mining extractions of uranium? Why don't we talk about that, Lars Larson? Because I know I'm not going to get it from Les Zaitz or Lyndon Zaitz or Scott Acosta or Marissa Williams, all connected to King Williams and Zach Williams and the Iron Triangle and what is it? The other lumber. But anyways, Uranium One and Barrick Gold Inc. Why don't we talk about that, Lars Larson? So here's the evidence. All the evidence is laid out. This is a fraction of what we're doing.
We're just telling you so you guys can go and do your homework. Try to give you some things to educate you and help you to see the truth. We can't make you. We can only give you the opportunity. And we appreciate you for watching. Take your time, do your homework, and I think we're good.
We're good. God bless our military.
God bless you.
God bless our ranchers out there. God bless the Native Americans. And God bless all those communities around the National Forest and our children and our grandchildren.
We're working hard to save the Constitution.
Yeah.
We have to go back to the Constitution because this kind of corruption has infiltrated our country, and if we don't stop it today, we're going to be doomed. So please step up, help us, do your homework, find out the truth, and we'll just keep working. You keep working. Thank you.
That testified on behalf of the de facto government where he committed perjury. Peter Nichols. Also in this
county commissioner.
Also in this document name, and which you guys can see, hopefully you can see, but there's so many documents. So we got, on this document, we have Senator
Gordon Smith and Ron Wyden and U.S. Representative Greg Walden. The council also received a letter from the state senator Ted Ferrioli. So this back the Oregon Energy Facility City Council minutes, June 11, 2012, is basically 2010 is the focal point of where we are today. Because if you go back to the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife Field report dated January 11 of 2013, this document right here gave. And so Shawna Cox can validate this document. You want to read the Calico Resources for a project to develop a gold extraction and processing mine in Malheur County, about 25 miles southwest of Vail, Oregon. Nell Corntz, head of the BLM, Loretta Lynch, James Comey, head of the FBI, John McCain, and Bruce Babbitt. There's other ones, but we haven't got them all listed just today. Remember that the presidents, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama, number one, have appointed judges, namely Ann Aiken, Anna Brown, who are both from the Lewis and Clark College in Oregon. We're talking about Oregon today. They also appointed, Governor Kate Brown was appointed by Barack Obama, and her husband, Mr. Kolonsky, of 30 years in forestry. Her DA is, her district attorney is Ellen Rosenblum, and the assistant DA was Amanda Marshall, that were both sent after the Hammond family, the Dwight Hammond family, to get their ranch in Harney County, Oregon, and the Steens Mountains. And we're going to tell you why.
Let's see here. Good afternoon, everyone out there. To all our political prisoners, to the Hammond family, to the Bundy family, to the Finnegan family, Shawna Cox, Daryl Thorne, all our patriots that were involved in regards to preventing the defective government from stealing the Hammond's ranch. Obviously, as I stated, certain people are helping me work with this PowerPoint, but in that PowerPoint, I'm going to call it the Beltway, Washington, D.C. But it's like chess, and we were talking about that you need to have your king, your queen, your knight, your bishops. So we're going to play chess with these documents, and that PowerPoint presentation, we're going to start with the Beltway, which is still, because so much information, the PowerPoint is not done yet, but it's coming together. One of the things why Shawna Cox is here is for the fact that she's seen the documents and has read the documents, which we are going to present in chronological order by dates on how these...
Hello, American. We want to, Laz and I are here today to explain to you the corruption that's been coming in America.
So, go ahead, yeah.
Hello, America. We want to welcome all of you here that has come to understand about what the corruption is in America. Laz and I are here to inform you of the things that have been happening, starting with our politicians. We have seen this terrible corruption that's been happening, and it starts all the way from the top, from Barack Obama and Valerie Jarrett, to Joe Biden, George W. Bush, Harry Reid, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Jeff Merkley, Ron Wyden, Greg Walden, Ted Ferrioli.
Criminals like Stephen E. Grassley that she mentioned, Ron Wyden, Jeff Merkley, Greg Walden, who else? Cliff Bentz, have on the background working with the Beltway, Washington, D.C. and Wall Street to steal the minerals, the land, the water, and the lumber. So I'm going to proceed in chronological order by dates and how we got these documents and how these documents all come together. But there are going to be three main focal points that I want to bring up with respect to the documents. This one's going to be the first one. Would you like to have the privilege of reading the title?
This is the Oregon Energy Facility Sitting Council meetings, the minutes on June the 11th in 2010. And this was written by Brian Wolf, who's the council member.
Right, Brian Wolf, Sheriff Brian Wolf, that everybody knows. He was part of this council meeting with Stephen E. Grassley, Stacey L. Davies, Fred Oatley, Chad Cargis. Chad Cargis is
head of the Fish and Wildlife at the refuge.
At the refuge.